Assalamualaikum students, welcome back to Global Public School online classes. In our previous class we talked about our Indian Constitution and we clearly talked about the meaning of our Indian Constitution, the preamble of our Constitution. We talked about the salient features of our Constitution, and in our today's class we are going to talk about something important which is very important towards our Indian society, and as an Indian citizen this point is very important. So let's see what is that here. Just a minute. Chapter name for our constitution. Yes, we are going to talk about the fundamental rights as an Indian citizens today. So we are going to say that why the fundamental rights are important for us. What are the different fundamental rights which we have as an Indian citizen? All that we are going to discuss in detail today. Students, fundamental rights which provides it is actually necessary for every Indian citizen to feel equal in the social and political environment, and also for the development of citizens, and it is actually required for a person to live a civilized life in the society, and it is actually essential for the success of our democracy. And if we follow, obviously if the society, if a government is giving us to enjoy all the rights, then obviously we feel happy, and it is a kind of a success for our democracy. And we have 7 fundamental rights like we studied in our earlier class, but in this class we're going to just have the detailed explanation of that. However, after the 44th Amendment, the right to property has been abolished, and we have 7 fundamental rights as per now. So let's study what is the fundamental rights, that 7 which we have. The first one is a right to equality. No matter which religion person you are, no matter which region person you are, no matter whether you are a fair person or a black person, no matter you are tall, short, no matter you are a senior citizen, no matter you are a children, no matter what, you are treated as equal according to our Indian Constitution. Under this, all the citizens are equally treated in front of the law, socially and equally treated, and all are equal before the law, and nobody is actually upper or below it. Everybody is equal, and all should get an equal protection of the law here, and nobody should get a discrimination. Discrimination means partiality. Nobody should have a partiality against on the basis of their gender, caste, maybe religion, or maybe place of birth. No matter what, everybody is equal in Indian citizen, as an Indian citizen according to our constitution. No citizen should be subjected to any restrictions with regards to the access of shops, that you should not go to this shop because it belongs to that caste. No, you are free to go to any shop, you are free to go to any public restaurant, you are free to go to any hotels, or you are free to go to any place of public entertainment or a public place of worship. You have the right, according to right to equality, you have the right to visit to any place any public place which you want. Nobody can stop you there according to the right to equality. And under this right, untouchability is an offense. This right has enabled every Indian citizens to get an equal opportunity to join the government service. So the next right coming up here is right to freedom. Initially we had experienced, maybe we might have heard from the elders, or we might have studied that before 1947 our India was under the control of British. We might have heard the issues, the kind of a struggle which they faced for the Indian freedom was seriously pathetic, because nobody was actually showing a little courteous towards our Indians before the independence. but after the independence, I think we should be lucky enough to enjoy the freedom whatever we are getting today. Under this right, students, one who expresses his opinion, one has the right to express his opinion, and one has a right to conduct meeting without arms, and to establish the organizations, to live anywhere in India, and to follow any profession, and to move around the country without any restrictions. And it is a protective right, and also no one can be arrested without a proper reason. Initially, what used to happen, students, under the British, whatever we used to do, they used to take them to the jail. They used to say that this is an offense. But here, after the independence, according to our constitution, we have the right, and nobody can arrest us. Nobody can come, and no police can come to us and to arrest us without a proper reason, without an arrest warrant. Nobody can come to our place, according to our Indian constitution, students. And no state law cannot snatch the life and the freedom of Indian citizens. The next right what we have is right against exploitation. Students, this is a very interesting rights. I want you to please pay a little more attention on it, because it's purely on the women's and kids on a weaker section. Especially the aim of this right is to prevent exploitation of women, children, and the poor and the weak people here. See, initially there was a lot of exploitation used to happen, and now also it is happening. What they are doing, they are kidnapping the kids, and they are making the kids to begging. They will make the kids to beg outside. And the other important thing is Devadasi system. In the earlier stage, students, this is a pathetic system which they had. According to this system, the parents used to marry the daughters, and later, because of this system, because of this customs, the people, the small girls, they used to get married to the elder person, and they used to be harassed, and finally they used to be thrown for the prostitution according to the Devadasi system. And the next system, you all know about this system, the practice of sati system. If a husband is died, even they used to bury that lady who is actually alive. They used to, on a whatever the fire what they used to give for the dead body of the husband, they used to throw out the wife of that husband to that lady, who's still alive. She did not have any right to live after the husband's death. So they used to throw that lady also on that fire. So that was the system which used to be followed in the sati system, and other immoral activities which they were there in the earlier stage, which is already all that has been prohibited against the right against exploitation. The employment of children under the 14 years of age, especially in mining. You know how difficult the mining is. They will qualify the land, under that the kid will go inside and they'll be working there. Industries, big industries will be there, and the dangerous in the occupation is punishable here. I'll show it to you one more time here, students. In the fundamental rights, the one more important thing right against exploitation is, here what they will do is, they will make the small kids to work in a very dangerous occupation. Maybe they will make them to become a robber, or they'll actually tell him to do something. Obviously, for the sake of food or for the sake of money, they will not have the thoughts. So they'll use these people in such a way. And initially, what used to happen, because of money, what they used to do is, they used to sell the people. They used to sell the small kids to the zamindars, and they used to exploit them in a very bad way. All this is being removed in the right against exploitation of our fundamental rights. The next right which we have here is, students, right against exploitation. Let me show you some of the more pictures which comes up here. The Union government also implemented some of the following acts to avoid the exploitation here. Minimum Wage Act under 1948, Dowry Prohibition System in the 1961, and the Prevention of Bonded Labor Act 1976. Sati Prevention Act 1987, Human Right Conservation Act 1993, Protection of Women from the Domestic Violence. This was a great decision taken in the 2005. Protection of Women from the Domestic Violence Act 2005 has been implemented by the Union Government of India to protect the people from the exploitation. The next right which we have here is right to freedom of religion. Nobody can tell us you have to follow this religion, because we are in India. According to India, we have a right. According to Indian fundamental right, it is free for an Indian citizen. According to their interest, they can go and follow any religion they want to. Since India is a secular country, nobody can force us. No religion has been given the status of a national religion here. Citizens can accept any religion according to their interest, according to their choice. Their conscience dictates, practice it and propagate it. No one can be forced to pay taxes for the management of religious institutions. And let me reiterate the point which I said, that no religious institutions can actually come and force us to pay the tax or pay the money towards the religion here. Use of religious places for the political and other activities has been prohibited in the country. The next important thing here is the cultural and the educational right. Here everybody in India, especially the children from 6 to 14 years, according to our Sarva Shikshana Abhiyan, has the right to get a free education from the government. All the citizens of the country have their own language, script and culture. It is the duty of the state to protect them, and this right protects the interest of the religious and the linguistic minorities. Nobody can harm us, nobody can say that your language is bad, because according to our India is a multilinguistic country. So the right to protect the interest of the religious and the linguistic minorities. No one can be denied an admission in the government aided institution or the institutions run by the minorities here. The next is right to education. The Indian Constitution guarantees the cultural and the education rights under the Articles 29 and 30. According to this Article 21A, education, please to remember which is the article number, students. According to the article number 21A, education is considered as the fundamental right. Based on the government, it should provide a free and a compulsory education for the children below 6 to 14 years. See the image here. Right to education is every child dream and a right to have this education. That's the cultural and educational rights which we have, and also the right to education. The next right which we have here is right to constitutional remedies, which I have already discussed in my earlier class, but let me just reiterate the same here. The Constitution has not only given the fundamental right to the citizen of India, they also guarantee them under the Article 32. It's not just the wording which they are telling, they have actually written that in the Article 32. Whenever the rights are violated, any right is being violated by a person or a state government or a central government, any citizen of India can directly go and file their case in the Supreme Court for their protection, according to the right to constitutional remedies. So here is the Supreme Court image which is there in Delhi. Let me just reiterate. We all know that the drafting committee chairman is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who played a very important role in the writing the constitution. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has called this right the heart and the soul of the Constitution. He has clearly said that this right has been called as the heart and the soul of our Indian Constitution, because any individual or any government or any person who actually violates the person's right has the right to approach to the Supreme Court. Without any fear, they can go to the Supreme Court and file a case against it under the right to constitutional remedies, and the Supreme Court is empowered to enforce the fundamental rights. Hence it is called as the protector of fundamental rights. The Supreme Court is called as the protector of fundamental rights. Even the High Court have the power to pass the following writs under this article, according to Article 226 here. Let's see what are the writs coming up in the right to constitutional remedies. I know you have a doubt here. What is writs, ma'am? Don't worry, students. I'll tell you what is writs here. Just imagine for a minute, what is writ? What do you mean? What will be the meaning of writs? Writing, wording. Students, a very simple word here is, it is a written command which is legally authorized. Please make a note of it. A writ is nothing but a written command which is legally authorized by the government. A writ is a written command which is legally authorized by the government. We have a different writs in our constitutional remedies which comes. The first thing is habeas corpus. It can be asked for your final exam 1 or 2 marks as well. Please to remember it, students. Habeas corpus is nothing but very simple, students. You might have seen, right? If somebody is arrested or if somebody is issued a arrest warrant, the court will give some amount of time to produce that person to the court, right? So that particular specified time frame is called as the habeas corpus here. Let's study that. The order passed by the Supreme Court or the High Court to produce a person within a specified time frame, we call that as habeas corpus. This protects the individual right of a person. They cannot just take him and then produce him to the court. The specified time is given from the court, and that we call that as habeas corpus. The next thing coming up here is mandamus. Listen to it very carefully, students. When the legislature, executive or the subordinate institutions fail to perform the work given by the Supreme Court or the High Court, that we call that as mandamus. So assume for a minute, legislature or executive or subordinate institutions of the government, of the political parties of the government, the Supreme Court has given some work to them, has assigned some work to them, and if they fail to do that, so we call that as mandamus. But the order cannot be passed against the private individual, governor or the president here. You can see here, a writ of mandamus is a court's order commanding an inferior court or a public authority to perform an official duty correctly. For example, assume for a minute something has happened, something wrong has been happened from the public institution, then definitely the court can tell that you have done wrong, you have to correct it. If they fail to do so, then that we call it as a mandamus writ. The next writ which is coming up here is a prohibition. When a subordinate court passes a judgment, assume for a minute, normally a court will pass the judgment, but when the subordinate court passes the judgment beyond his authority or the judgment which is against the sense of natural justice, then that is called as the higher court. For example, assume for a minute, High Court has passed the judgment, but which is not proper, which is beyond their authority, and which is actually not having any sense in the natural justice, then the higher court can pass an order against such judgments, and that order is called prohibition. This can be passed against the lower court by the higher court. The next coming up here is of certiorari. Certiorari. When the subordinate court passes the beyond the judgment jurisdiction against the sense of natural justice. It's quite similar to prohibition. The order of submission of records, but there is a judgment given there, but here the orders of submissions of records, if they have given the judgment there, but if they are unable to submit their proper records relating to the judgment what they have given, assume for a minute they have given one judgment saying that this person should be hanged to death, but what is the reason behind that the person has been hanged to death? Under the code, under our constitution, according to the problems, according to the issues, whatever they have done, according to that only the hanged to death penalty will be given from the court. If he has not done anything but still he has been given a punishment to hang to death, then there should be a proper records should be there, and if they are unable to submit that proper records to the higher court, then that is called as certiorari. The next is coherent. The order directing the right person to occupy the right public office is called the coherent. The order is passed against the persons who hold the public offices illegally by the higher courts. We call it as coherent. Very simple. That's all in this class, students. In our next class, we are going to discuss about. See, so far we talked about all the rights of our Indian citizens. But what are the have our duties also? See, we should not only talk about the rights, right? So we also have good duties towards our Indian society, towards our India. That we are going to discuss in our next class. Till that, students, I want you to read this, revise this concept, because this is a very big lesson. I want you to write the explanatory notes and send it to the Google Classroom app. If you have any doubts, reach out to me through WhatsApp or maybe Google Classroom app. Till that, students, stay safe, stay home and keep your learning button on. Thank you so much, students. Allah Hafiz.